Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I have small technical issue with my webcam. So today, as part of our syllabus, we are going to discuss Unit 3. In this Unit 3, we have the concepts of caste, religion, and gender in Indian politics. So uh, if you see in the world, there is no country with this caste system. We can observe in India only this type of caste system or Chaturvarna system or other things. So other discriminatory things we can also watch in this in our country. So like many developed nations, there are no such this type of caste systems. So and the caste system also one of the predominant aspect of social and political structure in India, because caste is the most ancient feature of Indian social system. It's a major factor in the structures and functions of the Indian political system. So the word caste is derived from the Spanish word uh, caste, which means race. So people born in particular race have their separate caste. So it defines all social, economic, political relationships for the individual. Caste is a notable foundation of social stratification of in this Indian state. So Indian politics, if you see, Indian politics is caste-ridden politics. Caste determines the nature, organization, and working of political parties, interest groups, and all political structures and their functions. So, if you go anywhere in India, so there might be chances to ask whether religion about your religion or caste. So, definitely you will face this situations in our day-to-day works. So, in Indian politics, the caste determines the nature and organization and everything, every political party, every interest group, or every other institutions. You can face this caste-based discrimination also, because Indian society has been highly segmented along the lines of caste, religion, class, etc. So it eventually prevents the true working of parliamentary democracy. The basic objectives of this lesson is going to discuss about the caste, religion, and gender in Indian political system. So we have in textbook the caste is derived from the Portuguese word casta, meaning family, race, or lineage. So caste in Indian society refers to a social group where membership is decided on the basis of birth. So so caste in Indian society refers to a social group in which affiliation is largely determined by the birth. So here, if you see, this caste system became fixed and hereditary with the rise of Hinduism. So the laws of Manu, which means Manusmriti or Manudharma Shastra, refer to the impurity and servility of the outcast while affirming the dominance and total impunity of upper caste. So, if there is no Manudharma Shastra, there is no caste system at all. If we see our Indian history about this caste system, after the rise of this Manudharma Shastra only, the caste system is born in India. So, those of the lowest caste are informed that their places in the caste hierarchy is due to their sins in their past life. So, after establishment of this Manusmriti, the most reliable text of Hindu religion legitimizes social exclusion and introduces absolute inequality as the guiding rule of social affairs. So, caste still very much matters to Indian citizens, even in the modern world too. So, though one must point out that different groups of citizens, even in the modern world, so one must point out these different groups of citizens have different reasons for maintaining the system of these castes. So the upper caste want to keep caste alive to oppress the lower caste, thereby maintaining their discrimination. So according to Manadharma Shastra, in Indian society, there is a Chaturvarna system, which namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. So, apart from these four religions, all the working class are belong to the Shudra community. So, there is a caste system is peculiarly in Indian institution which is found nowhere else in the world. As we discussed, if you go to any other country, any foreign country, there is no such type of this caste system is there. So it is a hereditary social class that restricts the occupation of its members and their association with the members of the caste. So the adverse impact of casteism in Indian politics, as can briefly be stated as here we have it violates the basic principles of equality as given in the Indian Constitution, has politicized caste as a divisive factor by counterpoising one caste or group of castes against the rest, and also it promotes narrow loyalties in elections, leads to forming of caste associations, pressure groups, or lobbies in Indian politics, and leads to bickering, narrow bargaining in party politics, and ministry formation. So, if you see in during the election time, so there are several caste groups also we can observe regarding their if they want to do anything, they will ask for the those who are coming for the campaign, they will ask for something like money or other things. So in the name of caste only. So caste in the colonial period, if you see, the social, economic, political policies of British colonialism lead to the emergence of caste identity. So the British administration identified the depressed caste, so which means scheduled castes after independence through the census of 1931, abolition of caste category in Calcutta of 1769, and legislation of caste disabilities removal act of 1850. So latter, their social policies either consciously or unconsciously promoted casteism in India. So after independence, when we wrote Indian Constitution and when we implemented the Constitution of India, prohibited any caste-based discrimination and laid the foundation of policies to reverse the injustices of caste system. So the democratic form of government based on universal adult franchise lead to a competition for political power through elections. So it also reinforced the caste identities. Further, it brought new consciousness among the people of caste that were hitherto treated as inferior and low. So the principle of one person, one vote compelled political leaders to the task of mobilizing and securing political support from various sections of society. So, if you see the role of caste in Indian politics, according to American political science scientist Morris Jones, in his book Indian Political System, he stated that politics is more important to caste and castes are more important to politics than before. So one can see an increasing involvement of caste in politics among other factors, party organizations, political mobilization, political appeal, electioneering, and voting get deeply influenced by caste considerations. So, if you see the allocation of seats for the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha or even Parliament. For Lok Sabha, they will allocate as per the reservation policy, but the uh, the political parties in our India, they will allocate seats where there is majority of people belong to such a caste. Then they will choose a candidate from that community only. So that caste, that candidate belongs to that caste. So the caste-based politics also we can see in present political system. So, caste can take various forms in politics. The caste and politics interrelationship may be seen at two levels: caste in politics and politics in caste. So, each caste group supports political parties which have given tickets to candidates from their respective caste groups. So, if you see, there are several caste based organizations also there, caste based working workers unions also there. So all are fighting for their caste development only. So it is often very often to see that these caste groups who are supposed to head the caste system also use their caste identity to gain benefits in the corridors of power and politics, and at the same time they want to put a stop to the caste oppression imposed upon them by the upper caste. So it is an ironical and interesting situation of Indian society in modern times. So in fact, it was intended to show that the four classes were in relation to social organization in the same relation as the different organs of predominant man to his body. So together they had to function to give vitality to the body politic, but the caste system has grown to the level of retarding the growth of an individual in the name of caste. So, if you see, Indian politics is largely shaped by the cultural varieties, social conditions, ethnic, caste, community, and religious pluralism, and the known tradition of the countrywide movement with the contrasting style of party leadership and unique contrasting ideological perspective. So, if you see, there are several religions also there. We will discuss after this caste topic. So, for majority of the scholars of politics, namely Myron Wiener, India says that India is perhaps the most important of all the newer countries of the so-called third world. Third world, which means after getting independence after the Second World War, that nations called as third world nations. So, in view of its long and composite past, its vast population and its present position, the special value of such country can be generally identified without doing an injustice to any other country. So, if you see in every developing political system, two types of politics can be pointed out: the politics of ideology and the politics of action. So, if you see during Vedic period, the system of Varna became the foundation of social stratification. And according to the system, as we discussed Manadharma Shastra, there were namely four Varnas like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, where each were assigned with a specific role. So, however, with the progress of time, the caste system came to the endowment status, which got resolved by the birth, and as a result, it has now become a divisive factor in our Indian society today. So, if we see the objectives of this caste system, study of caste system in Indian politics, the role of caste in Indian politics is specifically caste factor in political socialization and leadership recruitment will happen with this caste system, because different caste systems, different caste groups, their loyalties behind political parties and their ideologies is there. So, right from his birth, an Indian citizen inherits a caste and grows up a member of particular caste group. So, he belongs either to one of the high caste or to another caste or scheduled caste. In the process of picking up his political orientations, attitudes, and beliefs, he naturally comes under the influence of caste groups or casteism. So, caste values and caste interests influence their socialization and consequently their political thinking too. So, even participation or he bets on caste solidarity to occupy and play a leadership recruiting role. So, in Indian political system, caste influences leadership recruitment process because this is a particularly true of caste conscious people of states like Haryana, Tamil Nadu, Bihar, and Andhra Pradesh. In Andhra Pradesh, Reddis, Kammas, Velamas provides state leaders. So, as we see, many chief ministers and ministers are belongs to these communities. So if you see, even chief ministers also, most of the candidates are belong to these upper castes in Telugu states. So caste factor is a component of the Indian party system. In India, there are so many caste-based political parties which try to promote and protect the interest of a particular caste. So the regional political parties, in particular, stand predominantly influenced by the caste factor. If you see in Tamil Nadu, Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam, All India Anna Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam are non-Brahmin and non-Brahmin political parties from Tamil Nadu. So in Punjab, Akali has a community identity. It stands influenced by the issue of Jats versus non-Jats. All political parties in India use caste as a means for securing votes in elections. So even Bahujan Samaj Party banks upon the support of scheduled castes, while the BJP largely banks upon its popularity among caste Hindu. So and the trading community. So if you see, there are several caste-based interest groups also there in Indian political system, and also there are so many caste-based pressure groups in India which try to promote and protect the interest of particular caste. And for this purpose, they keep putting pressure on governments. The pressure groups like Scheduled Caste Federation, Arya Samaj Sabha, Sanatan Dharma Sabha, etc., are such pressure groups who work for the protection of the interests of a particular community. So, caste and nomination of candidates also important factor in Indian political system. The caste factor, exclusively the caste factor is an important determinant of electoral politics in India. So while nominating their candidates from different constituencies, the political parties keep in mind the caste of candidates and caste of the voters in that particular constituency. So as we discussed, if there are many voters belong to such particular caste, they will choose candidate from that community. So as a result of this, candidate is sure to get the votes of voters of his caste. So in electoral constituencies dominated by Muslims, Muslim candidates are deployed, and in areas dominated by Jats, Jat candidates are deployed. Even secularist parties like Indian National Congress, Janata Dal, CPI, and CPM take into consideration caste fact in selecting their candidates. So in elections, the caste and voting behavior also deciding factor. So in the election campaigns, votes are demanded in the names of caste. So caste groups are tapped for committed support. Andy Palmer, famous Indian political scientist, has rightly observed that caste considerations are given great weight in the selection of candidates and in the appeals to voters during election campaigns. So, in elections time, caste is the most important for the political party. So, the candidate asked for votes in the name of the caste. They raise the caste-based slogan like "Jat ki beti Jat ko, Jat ki vote Jat ko." Such slogans do have an effect on voters that they cast their vote in favor of the candidate belong to their caste. So there are several violent incidents also happening around our society with the name of caste, because caste based violence often finds its way into politics. So the traditional differences between higher and lower castes become vigorous and have turned into a violent and fierce struggle for the power in society. So the growing terrorization of the lower caste by the higher or even intermediary class has been becoming a part of rural India's political reality. In states like Maharashtra, Bihar, Gujarat, and Uttar Pradesh, caste violence has raised its head even in some urban areas. However, until today, most of the caste based violence continues to characterize rural politics. So, after many incidents happening in the Indian society, the demand for reservation by other communities also raised by their communities. So the provisions of the reservation made in the constitution have proved counterproductive also, as the non-scheduled castes have also started putting pressure on the government to make provisions for reservations for them. So in the name of caste, there are several tensions also we can see in the name of caste, like social tension, political tension, because the provisions made for the protection of interests of scheduled castes have also disturbed the social harmony in the Indian society and have created so many social and political tensions. So the society has got divided into lower caste and higher caste. So even in the after the framing our constitution, many articles and many acts also made to avoid this caste discrimination. Even in fundamental rights also, the provisions mentioned to uh, uh, remove the caste discrimination from the Indian society. So there is a close relationship with caste and politics in India, and both influence each other. So in the reality, caste is an important component of the social system in India, has made its a special place in the Indian political system at various levels. So even for Indian democratic system, casteism is a biggest challenge for the system, because democracy and casteism are opposite to each other. India has adopted the liberal democratic system, which is mainly based on equality, freedom, and sovereignty. So so politics has become in India with caste effect, caste based politics. So the political leaders also will have to democratize themselves and try their best to fulfill the basic needs of a common man. American political experts like Rudolph and Rudolph in this book, Modernity of Tradition, he stated that the caste politics in India has reduced the divergence among caste and has brought about political non-discrimination among the members of different castes. So even our education system must inculcate the values of equality and fraternal bonds among all the citizens. It is essential for nation building. The government should ensure that the operation of political practices and the system are just and equal to all groups, all religions, and all communities in the society. So this is the role of caste in Indian political system. So there is there even the caste based reservations also we can observe in Indian constitution. So the constitution provides for reservations to 23% of country's scheduled caste and scheduled tribes population, which were never politically questioned. The OBCs, who constitute nearly 50% of the population, had only one provision, that the special benefits should be provided to them. This has always been a source of argument. So they are allocated 27% reservations in central and state government recruitments and other categories. So this triggered reactive violence across North India by its opponents. So they demanded that merit be taken as the basis of recruitments. So from the foregoing, one can say that reservations is a tool for mobilization on caste lines as an instrument of public policy. It has raised as well as divided both the protagonists and the opponents alike. So, examples of such politics are evident in the recent agitations of erstwhile Andhra Pradesh by MRPS and Mala Mahanadu, who, despite being Dalit groups, oppose each other. Once a system of group preferences was introduced, leaders of political parties regard to support of for these reservations to some group or the other as a strategy for winning political support. So, um, political mobilization also, as we discussed with the name of caste. So, the role of politics in caste, they even in recent studies stated that the reinforced caste identities, thereby increasing caste rivalries such as Mahar and Maratha rivalry in Maharashtra, Kamma and Reddy antagonism in Andhra Pradesh, Lingayat Okkalinga rivalry in Karnataka, Rajput Brumihar rivalry in Bihar, etc. These caste rivalries soon gave away to caste alliances to enlarge the political base, gain power, and access the resources. So many caste and caste associations emerged, such as Kshatriya Mahasabha in Gujarat, Vanyar Kulasangam in Tamil Nadu, and the Ahir Jat Gujar Rajput Association in Uttar Pradesh. So the efforts was unite the peasant castes into the single unit for electoral politics. So um, in some situations, the disadvantaged groups to benefit when social divisions become a political issue. So, in this sense, politics in caste has helped Dalits and OBC castes to gain better access to decision making process. So, but it is not politics that gets caste ridden; it is the caste that gets politicized. So, we have another topic, that is religion in Indian politics. So, um, if you see, the India is mixed with many religions. Even there is no official religion for the Indian state. So, it's often said that politics, nothing happens by accident. To garner votes, politicians use very arrow in their choir. So, some basis on which they deploy vote banks tactics are gender, religion, and even caste. So, the Indian Constitution very clearly states that India does not have an official religion. So we are a secular state. Secular means there is no official religion for the government. So all the religions are equally treated by the government. People of all religions in India have the right to practice any religion they may choose. So according to the Constitution of India, in fundamental rights, there is Article 25 to 28 in the fundamental rights. There is secular provisions for the religion system for the citizens who are living in the country. So there can be no discrimination based on these rights. But in reality, religion also plays a huge part in Indian politics apart from the caste system. So it starts with the idea of communalism. The idea behind communalism is that one religion or ethnic group will consider itself superior to another. So if you see, the many political parties also using the concept of uh, this religion also as the vote bank. So the members of this religion will always align with their own party rather than think about the wider society. So ever since the introduction of political parties in our country, this communalism has been exploited to gain political power. For them, it is a way to gather votes on the basis of religion, and more often than not, they bring up the issues of majority versus minority religions To stoke the fires of communalism, this creates separation among the people rather than uniting spirit. So, surprisingly, forming a political party on the basis of religion or caste is not illegal in India. So, freedom to practice any religion gives them to right to assemble such groups and parties. So, but in the name of protecting the interests of their members, at times these parties spread intolerance and communal bias. As we alert citizens should not fall into this trap. So, the this this religion is very important in our Indian political system. So, so the caste and religion is a very important things in Indian political system. So many historians says that the role of religion in Indian politics can be traced back to the British colonial period. So the Act of 1909 laid the policy of establishing separate electorates based on religion that pitted one religious community against the other in India. So the creation of organizations directly based on religious communities further aggravated the existing divide. So, while this is the general background in which further communal politics pushed India for 2 decades after independence was relatively free of any major communal conflict. So, the decline of Congress in the late 1960s and growing economic crisis contributed to the emergence of communalism has been a political phenomenon in various parts of the country. In the following decades, there have been sporadic regional, sub-regional communal conflicts in India, which has helped strengthen the politics of communalism. So, mutual antagonisms were reinforced between communities by acts of mobilization, ideological postures, organized violence, etc. So, if you see, political parties, by and large, instead of combating communalism, address the problem in such a way that indirectly help them acquire or consolidate power. So, since the election commission stipulates that all political parties must follow secularism and should observe from communal appeals to secure votes. So, every political party in India often disclaim that they are communal. In spite of these stipulations, communal politics have grown in India over the years. In Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Bihar, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and as well, Andhra Pradesh have been subjected to communal violence and polarization at various times. So, since communalization has social appeal, the so-called secularist parties made the opportunistic compromises with communal parties and groups of electoral purposes. Interestingly, despite their proclaimed commitment to secularism, the Congress leadership also has often made alliances with communal parties like Muslim League and Akali Dal, thus giving political respectability to communalism. Even communist parties like CPIM made alliance with the Muslim League in Kerala from 1967 to 69, with All India Muslim League from 1974 to 86, and with Janasangh at the center between 1977 to 79. So, existence of people belong to various religious groups makes for a very volatile political environment in our country. So, the religious factor in Indian politics can be studied under three variants. So, one is communal mobilization, another one is communal riots, and the third one is religious fundamentalism. So, if you see, the communal mobilization is based on the political mobilization in the name of religion, referred as a communal mobilization. So, this involves the use of religious or sacred symbols, cultural assertions, or religious leaders, emotional appeal in order to bring the followers of one religion together in the political arena. In electoral politics, parties often appeal communal identities. If you see in Indian history, there are many communal violent incidents happened during the past governments. So even nowadays also we are facing these situations at some places in India. So the indirectly and covertly terms like minoritism, appeasement, majoritarianism, pseudo-secularism, etc., are used by political leaders. The Congress party, which in the past has tried to garner the vote and support of minorities by assurances to protect their rights, either through patronage, governmental help, or legislation such as Muslim Women's Maintenance Act, has been accused of minoritism by BJP and its allies, which in terms has helped the BJP to secure the support of majority community. So, in what is considered a shift in Congress politics, it has played the majority card and successfully through Operation Blue Star, anti-Sikh riots in the wake of Indira Gandhi's assassination in 1984. The turning point in this majority minority mobilization for voters came with revival of Babri Masjid issue by Congress party. Its demolition by the BJP Sangh Parivar combined in 1991 that has to a large extent brought about a decisive shift in the communal divide of the country. In the aftermath of the demolition of political mobilization has shifted balance in favor of BJP and its allies ever since. So, in short, the communal politics is the politics based on religious grounds for attaining political goals. Unfortunately, this has become very common in India. So, whether it is the Shabano case during Rajiv Gandhi's period or the triple talaq issue during present Prime Minister Narendra Modi's tenure, issues have been used for short-term political gains. So, the rise of Hindu nationalism and Ramajanma Bhumi and Babri Masjid issues are equally continuous. So the Garvapasi drive by Hindu organizations, which were indulged to reconverting people who were earlier Hindus but got converted into Islam or Christianity, has also led to many worrying instances in the recent times. So that's what many communal riots happened in Indian political system. The violent attacks by members of one community on the members of or properties of other community takes on the form of organized or spontaneous attacks through beatings, killings, rape, destruction, arson, etc. Beside being anti-human, riots heighten the sense of insecurity, suspicion, hatred, and vengeance between communities and polarize them socially and politically. So, the resulting mobilization can be highly beneficial to political parties based either of these communities. So, um, such incidents also we will remind after independence in India, there are several communal riots happened like Ahmedabad riots in 1969, Bhiwandi riots in 1970, Aligarh riots in 1978, Hyderabad riots in 1978, Hazaribagh riots in 1983, Anti-Sikh riots 1984, Bombay riots 1992, Godhra riots in 2002. So, sectarian riots take place between two or more groups of the same religious community and often are meant to strengthen or alter the balance of power in favor of one section or the other. So, even the Shia Sunni conflicts in Lucknow, Sikh Nirankari conflicts in Kanpur and Amritsar, Lepchas and Bhutias in Sikkim are some of such instances. However, these are rare and marginal in the Indian political system. So, religious fundamentalism basically means on the behalf of individual or a group of individuals in the absolute authority of a sacred religious text or teachings of particular religious leader, prophet, or God without comment or criticism. It is a basically a movement stressing either a return to fundamental sacred texts in order to to resolve contemporary political, social, and personal problems. So, in the last 3 decades in Indian political system, the major reason for clashes has been politicization of the Mandir Masjid issue. Even in nowadays, also we are observing these situations like where we see uh, Jnanavapi incident in recent times. It is also Mandir Masjid issue. In the process of the controversy created a communal divide and frequency of riots also increased during this time. So political parties have used religious sentiments for their own benefit every now and then. So post Ayodhya and post Godhra incidents, there has been the major political trend in the rise of Hindutva protagonists. So the rise of Islamic terrorism in the neighboring Pakistan and Afghanistan and the politics of antagonism between India and Pakistan have to a large extent contributed to the rise of consolidation of minority and majority communal politics in India. So the religion also one of the important aspect in Indian political system. Uh, the religion also decides the electoral politics in India. So we have one more topic, that is gender. Gender also one of the important factor in Indian political system. uh, it is also observed that the gender based or gender biased politics also we can observe in recent times. So so gender gender is the concept of, there is never any doubt that men and women are different on the basis of biology, and the differentiation also carries through our society as various stereotypes. But one field which is often ignored when it comes to gender bias is that of politics. In the current political scenario of the world, and especially of Indian, women are very poorly represented. So the problem really seems from the role of women play in Indian patriarchal society. So education of women is not a priority for most families in India. Their role is considered to be of household work and raising children. So this is unpaid, invisible work, and our society is a culprit of ignoring this work that women do. So unfortunately, due to this perception of women, the participation of women in politics of the country also suffers. Did you know that the number of women in the central government crossed the barrier of 10% representation for the first time in 2009? Even today, compared to other developing countries of the world, India's gender gap in politics is one of the worst in the world. So steps have been taken to remedy the situation in our lower level governments, that is panchayat or municipalities. There is a reservation of one-third seats for women. This ensures that women have their representative and chance of their voices being heard. But the same needs to be done at the state and center levels. As a bill proposing this has been pending for almost a decade, almost more than 7-8 times the bill has been disqualified with the improper implementation by the governments in the Lok Sabha. So in India, even though the constitution has given gender equality, women still lag much behind men despite some improvement since independence. So Indian politics under three aspects we can see the gender factor. One is women in electoral politics, and the second one is women political representation in legislature, that is parliament or assembly, and third one is women political representation at grassroots levels. So we will see the women in electoral politics in India. So the electoral these terminology, women in electoral politics in India refers to the electoral competition among political parties, and the entire process of elections in a democracy. So the participation of women in Indian politics in free India means after independence can be explained in terms of their participation in elections. So women's political participation has been very low despite their remarkable contribution in Indian nationalist movement. Soon after Indian independence, women are granted the right to vote by the Constitution of India. Before the Constitution of India, there is no such rights for the women. There is no such equal opportunities, equal right to work or right to education also not there. After the implementation of the Constitution of India, Article 14 ensures legal equality to women, intended to widen and expand opportunities for women's political participation. So in spite of this, it has been increasingly realized that the women participation in electoral politics is far from adequate, either as a voter or contestant. Women contesting elections still constitute only trivial percentage of total number of contestants. So however, there has been a general trend, more women coming out to vote during elections. So this increase in the turnout of women voters, particularly of the lower classes and castes from rural areas, can be attributed to mobilization rather than to one's own political consensus. So many studies on women in politics had pointed out that lack of women political empowerment and the limitations disable them from playing a decisive role in political affairs of country. So for instance, reluctance of political parties to give tickets to women candidates, social norms, gender bias, familiar restrictions, and fundraising capacities, political support, and above all, the voters' attitude towards women candidates, etc. So, if you see the women political representation in legislature system, it is well-known fact that proportion of women elected representatives in legislature has been very low in the field of voting or contesting in elections. Women are found underrepresented in the legislature, that is parliament or state assemblies. So in India, women's role can be explained from the review of their representation in the legislature. So as of now, there is no proper representation for this women in electoral politics. So, as per data of Interparliamentary Union, India ranks 148th in terms of women representation in the parliament. So, the representation of women MPs in Lok Sabha is slowly improving from 4.4% in the first Lok Sabha to 14.6% in 17th Lok Sabha, that is held in 2019. Out of 716 women candidates who contested general elections, 78 women MPs have been elected to the 17th Lok Sabha. The highest even number in 2014 is 62 women MPs were elected. So, through the percentage of women MPs has increased over the years, it is still lower in comparison to some countries such as Rwanda, 61%, South Africa 43%, UK 32%, USA 24%, even our neighboring country Bangladesh is securing 21%. We are having only 14.6%. So the presence of women in the upper house has been slightly higher compared to Lok Sabha, probably due to indirect elections, the nomination of women members in the Rajya Sabha, the representation of women was between 5.8 to 11.8%. So even if we see the women political representation at grassroots levels, the most significant milestone in the history of women's participation in politics is the 73rd and 74th Constitutional Amendment Acts of 1992 and 1993. So these two acts created space for women in political participation and decision making at the grassroots level, that is in the rural and urban bodies, which means in panchayats and municipalities by providing that one third, which means 33% of the seats would be reserved for women all over the country. So the 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1992 says that it provides reservations for women in Panchayat Raj institutions set up in two ways, for the office of the members and for that of the chairpersons as per the class 2, class 3, class 4 of Article 243 subclass D. Not less than one third of the seats meant for direct election of members at each tier of the panchayats are to be reserved for the women. So each tier means there is three tier system of panchayat raj system is there in India. So even municipalities also. If we say three tier panchayat levels means gram panchayat, mandal panchayat, and jilla panchayat. So we can see sarpanch, mandal parishad president, ZP chairperson. So this is the three tier system which we are implementing in panchayat level. Even municipalities, nagar panchayati, municipality, municipal corporation. So three tier system. The act has thus been passed to assure women's representation in Indian panchayat raj system. According to study, with advent of this act, India today has more than 500 district panchayats, around 5,100 block or middle tier panchayats, and more than 2,25,000 village panchayats. Approximately 90 municipal corporations, 1,500 municipal councils, and 1,800 nagar panchayats. A combination of constitutional provisions, government policies, and social actions and self-awareness among rural women will eventually result in Indian women becoming part of mainstream politics. So, if we implement, if we enact a act for separate women reservation act, then only the maximum reservation for the women candidates will be assured by the act. So that's what the governments are the governments led by our traditional political parties are not supposed to enact this type of act. So the caste, the gender, and religion are the major phenomenons in Indian political system. So Indian political process within constitutional democratic setup are influenced by these diversities. So particularly caste, religion, and gender. So uh, after the getting independence, these type of social factors are facing these type of social factors are main barriers for equal opportunities to the all the citizens living in the country. So without caste discrimination, without equality, without this secular uh, formula, there is no possible ways to run the democratic system in our India. So if you see, many parties are having separate ideologies. Those who are having like nationalist or nationalism ideology or secularism, like that, they are not supposed to provide these type of equality to the all the citizens who are living in the country. So there are also many nationalist issues also there. Even after the implementing the reservation system, some of the marginalized sections are getting equal opportunities with comparison to the upper caste. So after the implementation of reservation system, the most of the backward classes, most of the marginalized sections are getting opportunities in terms of political positions or in terms of employment. Um, so So when it comes to politics, even we say that India is uh, adapted secular formula, but here some sorts of situations are changing to day. Hindus who have favorable view of BJP are more likely to than those with unfavorable views of the ruling party to link being Hindu and speaking Hindi with national identity. For example, a majority of Hindus who have positive views of the BJP say speaking Hindi is very important to being truly Indian, compared with about half of those who have unfavorable view in the view of ruling party. So across all measures, nativist and otherwise respondents who say religion is very important in their lives are more likely to say that all of these aspects are important to bring truly Indian. So the nationalism, even India is having a unity in diversity formula. So there are several various religions are there, various castes are there, but we can proudly say that Indians are uh, only Indians. So, without any discrimination, we say that truly Indian. So, these social elements, gender, caste, and even religion also decides Indian political system in more ways. So, the election system, the electoral politics also decided by these three elements. So, for today's class, I am concluding. Tomorrow we will meet at same time, 5:30 to 4:30 to 5:30. Thank you. Thank you for your participation.